Hello everyone and welcome to my guide on how do I get to tier 3 in random PvE 10 map of the month single player map while being broke. That means playing on a budget. I will create a guide like this every month after a new map of the month is being released. The point of this guide is to get to tier 3, which is like one of the most important parts of a PvE, random PvE 10 map, within a reasonable time with every color combination. So that's a few different runs. We are not gonna doing full runs, only like getting to tier 3. This takes about 10 till 15 minutes, but this is a second recording. My first one is corrupted. So I have every replay of the runs I did, and that means we will just gonna be looking at the replays and we can speed them up and not take too much time. The guide focuses on two main things. One, budget. That means we are gonna try to use really cheap cards. And second is card count. You have only 20 card slots in the deck, and the aim is to only use 3 till 4 cards for each tier you're gonna reach. So if you're going from tier 1 to tier 2, you only take 3 to 4 cards, and if you go from tier 2 to tier 3, you're also gonna only take 3 to 4 cards. That means your deck will mostly have 6 till 8 cards focused on this target. But a really important thing is to also not take too much time. You have 42 minutes to clear the map, and you should take up to 17 minutes for part 1, and this is going to tier 3. Then you should take about 5 minutes advancing to tier 4, and then you have like 20 minutes left to clear the map with tier 4. Depending on the map itself and what enemies you face, this is always gonna be a bit different, also for each color combination. Okay, if you wanna see full runs, I already did 2. One is with Frost Nature and one is with Fire Shadow. I will link them in the description, and I will also create timestamps so you can jump to the faction part you wanna see. Okay, then let's jump into the game. Okay. So the first part you wanna do when a map is released, just pick a random deck, whatever you want. Let me take this one. And then you go into the map. You set it to 10. You click the map of the month button. So the map is always the same. And then you just start the game. A bit of waiting time. Nothing special. So you need to know two things. One, where are your monuments? And where do the enemies spawn and what path do they take? So if we just build some units, we have 2 ways, and then we send 2 units the long way and 2 units on this way, but we always see what is happening because we need to figure it out. And then we trigger the camps. So you just kinda attack them. And if you trigger them, they start spawning units. And then the unit's gonna attack. We will let the enemy units die, and we just wait like a minute until we see a new wave. Okay, we see the wave from here and the wave from here. That's enough. Then we're gonna leave the map. It's not a big problem. because this is the part of getting information. And then we just gonna go into replace. This is located at the book, profile, and then replace. And it's basically the last saved autosave replay, or if you activated this option, save all replays, it also gets a separate entry with everything. So now we just started. Okay, and normally you have fog of war, but we can disable it. And now we can see the whole map. You can take a screenshot from the minimap just to see what it looks like. So you see the enemies, and we speed up a bit just to see how I triggered it. Now I triggered them, and now I wanna see where the enemies spawn. Okay, they spawn on the north.
Monument is under attack.
They spawn here. And do they spawn at the bottom?
A power well is under attack.
Yeah, and they spawn on the bottom. So you have like 3 camps that spawn enemies that attack you. And that means you need to defend. Okay. Good. And then we're gonna create our first deck. So we are gonna start with pure colors. And I'm gonna start with fire. I will show you the minimap, so just so we know what it looks like. Okay, we're gonna get attacked from a few camps. That's not a big problem. And here you can check again what units you are facing. So basically simple bandit stuff. Good. And okay. So, a bit of strategizing. Okay, so to create a deck, now we're gonna do the thing I told you. We need 3 to 4 cards to transition from tier 1 to tier 2. So we need a unit with attacks, and it's basically Sunstriders. You can take nomads, sure, let's build it up. So we need nomads, we need Sunstriders, then we need something to defend. Okay, that's probably makeshift towers because they have a lot of small units. And we are not going to take a mine because we are playing on a budget, but we take eruption just to make sure if things go south. So we have a kind of a secret card. Okay. Is this enough to get from tier 1 to tier 2? Yeah, it is. But you could also take like suppression, it's a good spell, and maybe you wanna have like fire swans, but then you see you are taking a lot of card slots. And this is not something we want. Our aim is to reduce the slots to a minimum. So I'm gonna tell you we only need Sunstriders to attack, they have enough damage. They can disable towers, so we don't need suppression. We need makeshift towers to defend, and we need eruption for security reasons. Now, let's take a look again at the minimap. So, it's always important to know, after you get to your tier 2, what are you gonna have to defend and how hard it's gonna be. We already saw we get still bandits and no snipers, so just some small units. And against small units, pyromaniacs are amazing. They have no flying units, so it's still good. And then we're gonna need some units to clear the tier 3 camp. The most important part about the camp was getting through 2 wizard towers. Wizard towers deal a ton of damage against a lot of units and have a knockback, so you need some kind of range or disable. You could use Sunstriders, but the problem with using a mass of Sunstriders and disabling it, the enemy is still gonna have a lot of units, so You can do Sunstrider spam and using Lava Field to get rid of the small units, and then just destroy the Wizard Towers with a lot of Sunstriders, or you take Firestalkers. That's an artillery unit, it's good enough. And we're just taking Lava Field for safety reasons. Okay, and I think this is enough. Let me see if I missed something. You could take a Banner of Glory. Following reason, if you take your tier 2 and you set up your first defense with Paramaniacs and you have still a ton of Sunstriders, you can just build a Banner of Glory, kill your Sunstriders and get some energy directly back. Is it worth the deck slot or card slot? I think not. In my replay I did, but normally you don't need it. And now we are at the minimum. Getting a banner is just speeding up a bit. And now we're gonna see how I played the fire. Let me find it. Oh yeah, amazing. It should be... yeah, it should be this one. I have to interrupt here for a moment, because in the recording you're gonna see I kind of forgot to remove the mini-map from on the screen, so a part of the replays was hidden, but I did a re-recording of these two replays at the end of the video, so I'm gonna state it in the timestamps below. You can just jump if you don't need a commentary but just want to see how it plays. Just jump to the end section. Thanks. Maybe I should have renamed them correctly, but it's okay. We're gonna find it right. I kind of remember in what order I played them. And yeah, so I started building off 2 makeshift towers just to set up defense. You don't want to build them too near of the enemy camp so they don't trigger it. And then you're gonna build a small army that can fast enough kill the spawning camp, which is always your first target. I have 8 Sunstriders, this is enough firepower. And after getting some energy to set up a suppression fire and have enough energy left for an eruption, I disable the tower and I just attack the camping. I eruption the units so I get a bit of knockback and I just pull back. You see there's a lot of units, but makeshift towers are really good at knockbacking, and Sunstriders are just shooting from behind while my towers tank the damage. After you get rid of the units, you have to regroup and rebuild some of your lost troops. So I lost like 2 Sunstriders or maybe 3, but I rebuilt one. Just spawn again until you have 8. You wait to heal them up. You see the waves are coming, but our makeshift towers are working. I build a 3rd one just to make sure while I can focus on the camp and not pay attention to my home base. This is an interesting part. You wait until the enemy runs through here and starts attacking you, and then you start setting up your attacking force. I'm building 2 makeshift towers so that I can kill the spawning camp, go back and kill everything else. I think I will use eruption, yeah, just to speed up the destruction and not lose a lot of units. Then I pull back and get rid of all the enemy units while my base is defended. I lost the makeshift tower, that's why I built it. Again, I have now 7 Sunstrider units, but that's enough. Let me speed that up a little bit. Destroying this one. Going back to heal up, because I'm not sure. So, on some maps, Tier 3 and Tier 2 are pretty near each other, or Tier 3 and Tier 4. Depends on the map here.
Your
You can see
forces
Tier
are
3 and
under
Tier 4
attack.
are really far apart, but not Tier 2 and Tier 3. And that means if you build something, you can trigger attacks from the towers or units. So first thing first, I'm setting up a defense. And after I'm sure my defense will hold, I build the monument. And I'm not building the energy wells, because if I invest power into the wells and they have to wait 3 minutes until they get the energy back, you are just crippling yourself to probably defend the place. So after I'm sure I can defend, I'm building 2 Pyromaniacs. And nothing gets in the way. I'm killing off my units. I'm spawning some Firestalkers and start getting rid of the towers. I'm still not building the ended power wells, but I probably could. Now I'm building them because I've secured my position. Since I built my second monument, the attacking waves started going directly to my second point, and I destroyed my makeshift house because my first base is not gonna attack anymore. So now I'm gonna get rid of the spawning building. I will use a lava field to make sure my Firestalkers do the damage, the job. Okay, I got rid of the camp, and now I have to kinda finish it up. And again, I'm setting the defense first, making sure I can hold up against attacks. And now I have built my third monument. I used pretty cheap cards and it took me about 13 minutes. This is for bandits. There are factions that are a lot harder for fire, maybe. So it always depends. Now, next one is frost or nature. I think I did frost. So in frost I used for my tier 1 to tier 2 transition master archers and northern keeps, because they can create a field that makes your small units immune against damage, and they deal more damage. And I use Glyph Frost for crowd control, and a Warden Sigil to make sure my towers don't die. And for tier 2 I used White Rangers because they have 50-meter range, so again an artillery unit to get rid of the towers, another CC spell with Cold Snap, and cannon towers to protect. Let's take a look how this played out. Now I have to search it again. Damn it. It should be this one. It's Frost was the fastest because you lose less units because of your crowd control. Also, if you don't play on a budget, you can use, of course, units that get the job done faster. So I'm again starting with defensive buildings, spawning 8 master archers. You need enough firepower to kill the camp fast enough and not lose a lot of units. The less units you have, the more units you're gonna lose. The fights are going to drag out because the enemy uses shamans, and if you don't deal enough damage, you're just gonna not kill anything. So I'm setting up the defense, then I'm with a frosting the first wave. I'm getting back, you see, I activated the field, my units are not taking any damage. After this one's run out, I use the second one. And this is enough to clear it out. And I didn't lose any units, so I don't have to wait and regroup. I'm just setting up a second Warden Sigil to make sure I don't have to pay attention. Again, just freezing it, getting back, activating, killing everything. You can also use spells like Home Soil to speed it up, but it just helps you getting the job done faster, but it still don't have more energy. So you still have to wait to build stuff. And it takes card slots. So setting defense first. Making sure I can defend the place. I don't have... I didn't build right now the cannon towers. I could, but I didn't. I will build them probably later. And then I started spawning white rangers and just nuking the towers. 3 or 4 rangers are good enough to deal a lot of damage. So I have 3. Now I have enough units to just push through. Freezing up, freezing again, killing everything, going back. Clean up. Okay. And basically this is over. I'm building cannon tower to defend the place. Swapping the cannon tower because it has knockback and is dealing more damage. And this is done. Not even 12 minutes with a cheap frost deck. And it gives me 30 minutes to finish the map. Good. Now let's get to nature. Nature is a bit tricky. I used 8 card slots. Windweavers are good enough to deal damage even on tier 2. I use deep ones because I don't have an artillery unit with frost, with nature. So I need units that don't get knockbacked or live enough, and deep ones are good. They are large units, they don't get knockbacked. They have a good health pool and they can tank the towers a bit. I used Fountain of Rebirth and Surge of Light to secure my healing of my units because they tend to die fast. I didn't use Shamans. Shamans are still a bit expensive and they bind energy. I don't like it to have a lot of energy bound to Shamans. Like 1 fountain is enough to keep your healing through a fight. Our defense is done by primal defenders, good enough. And then we have a lot of crowd control. This run took me still 18 minutes because I made a mistake. And I will show you what the mistake that cost me. This is the one. And maybe I should put away the minimap. I will give you a link for the replays, so you can check them out. Okay, setting up defense first and a fountain for healing. Spawning units. Since Windweavers deal a lot more damage than Sunstriders, I only use 6 of them. And they cost more, so it's not like I would put more, but they are pretty expensive with 70 energy. Getting rid of the tower. With nature you have to kind of make sure your base isn't gonna get overrun. Killing the spawning camp, getting back, regrouping, and then just clearing out my tier 2. Using a bit of CC to secure my units don't die. Setting up defense first. And using wind weavers to defend. And I'm not using breeding grounds right now because I'm just focusing on cards I really need to get the job done. Of course you wanna play breeding grounds if you have the card slots left, just so your tier 3, tier 4 units don't cost that much. And then you could set up it here. Okay. I was sure that my, I think 3 or 4 deep ones are gonna, 3 deep ones are gonna be enough. I failed because I underestimated that they have to run through every unit around it to attack the building and not just stand here. So I was like, oh yeah, and that cost me a lot of time. I just built 4 this time. And 4 were enough. I also used more healing to keep them alive. As you can see, I used 2 healing surges. It just was enough to kill the spawn camp, but it's okay. It reduces the pressure. Now I can build the energy wells. I could build them earlier again. And now how to get rid of the towers is just you use the... And I was thinking, yeah, 2 are enough, and I was right. They tank enough damage. Well, wind weavers just clear it out. Also, I built a ton of wind weavers, like 11. Just to make sure I have enough firepower to clear out the campsite. That's why it took me so long. Okay, this is nature. It was a bit harder because you don't have a ranged unit. And you have to kind of work around it. And last but not least, we have Shadow. Shadow has the same problem. No artillery units. You could use Shadow Phoenix, but then you need Embalming Shrines. And that's already 2 cards. And I already had like 8. No, 7. So my plan was to use Undead Army as a tank for the towers and just kill it with Forsakens. And it worked good enough. So that's the 14-minute replay. Same tactic, setting up some defense towers. I did set up 3 because life stealers tend to die fast, since they use their own life to deal damage. And I used a skeleton warrior to tank a lot of the damage since I don't have crowd control or like bonus firepower. So I activate the buff and just run in. They draw a ton of damage and then I can get back. And you see I still lose a lot of units even with 3 towers. And then I just get rid of the tower. The towers kill them more than the enemy does, so I set up a 4th one. And then enemies was trying to attack me all the time. Same tactic, I use the skeletons to draw it and take some damage. And now I have to clear it up. I did lose a lot of units because I didn't really care. I mean it's Shadow. Just spawn a bunch of new ones. Set up defense, get a monument. And using time vortex to defend a really strong tower. And we need a frost affinity. So if you have less void energy than 1000, they shoot faster, and I have only 400. So I need to set up a building that uses up or speeds up my void power gain. And I think I set up a Furnace of Flash. So here I just starting to spam Undead Army on the towers and then kill it with the Forsaken, and then just continue to spam it and then kill the spawning camp. Also, you only have one real spawning camp or spawning building. The second one is always fake if you have two. And
monument is under attack.
Can check out your replays without fog to see on what camp the enemies are spawning. So here, if you check this out, I think it's the left one. Yeah, it's the left one they're spawning. But also defense setup. Here's the furnace. Was still fast enough, 14 minutes. To make sure I'm getting here where I want. Okay, that was the pure color combination. And let me check what we have else. Then we have Bandits. In Bandits you can start with Fire or with Shadow, it doesn't really matter how you get to tier 2. It's good to take a color that is fast and takes less cards, so Fire only needed 3 cards and it was pretty fast, so I decided to go Fire. Let me see. I still took 15 minutes, what? Bandits can defend even against T3 and a bit of T4 with just 2 cards, and that is the Bandit Archers and the Riot Tower that heals them up. So I'm gonna speed this up. This is like same as earlier with pure fire. Defending, killing the camp, making sure your base is defended, wait until they're gone. Clear is up, get back. Regroup. Make those pulls so that you only kill the ranged ones and then you can kill the melee ones separately. Set at the point, get your Shadow Orb online, and then start with a Riotous Retreat. And a few Bandit Commandos. Just set them up and you can stack them always so that enemies shoot always like they split their damage. And to kill towers you just use like Bandit Snipers. You could also use Firestalkers because they only need 1 Fire Orb. But I like Bandit Snipers because they get healed and you can just camp tank damage with them. And then you use the sniper ability, focus shot, to just kill the tower. Takes a while because you have to wait for the see, they can just tank the damage, kill it, and then clear it up. Set up defense. One Bandit Commando and a Rider's Tower is enough to defend against the wave. Good. Now, what do we have left? I think next one was Lost Souls. This was a bit tricky. Because you don't have an artillery unit. So I used Lost Dancer because they deal bonus damage to structures, and I use Phalanx because they can use defense formation, becoming slow but getting knockback resist immunity, and they have pretty good health pool. And for defense I used Lost Launchers because they're really strong, especially with Warden Sigil. They kill stuff fast enough. This replay took me still, I think, 17 minutes because I did a mistake. Same as with Nature, and I underestimated the damage the Wizard Towers are dealing. And I started with Ice because Ice is like the fastest from all four, from the two colors. Shadow is a bit slower than Ice. Oh no, this is not a correct replay, this is, I think, Twilight. But we want to see Lost Souls. Yeah, this is Lost Souls. So we'll start. Set up defense. Clear out the camp. Defend. Don't lose any units, and then just kill it.
A monument is under attack.
Defend. Finish up. Set up defense.
A monument is
And then I
under
just
attack.
used my units and then didn't really care about saving them. I used a Lost Launcher for defense, the second one. And now the tricky part was killing the towers. So I was thinking that yeah, 2 Phalanx are good enough. They will tank enough damage, and it was a bad mistake because the towers shoot 2 missiles on 2 units, and since I only sent in 2 units, both towers just deal double damage to my units and killed them pretty fast, as you will see. And I don't have any healing in the deck, I just managed to like heal a few attacks and then had to pull back. And lost a few of my Dancer. And had to wait until I get more units. And then I used 4 and this was enough. Because now the damage is split more evenly. And I even used a Northern Keep to give them immunity for a good amount of... As you can see, they don't get any damage from here. So they live long enough to tank the damage from the towers. And I still lost them before I could get the second tower because all the units. And clear it up. Was still in a reasonable time. It took me 14 minutes. Even with the mistake, without I would like take 13 minutes, maybe a bit less. Good. And now we have this is like a really bad idea. Because Amii doesn't have really good units on tier 1 and tier 2. We have Stoneskin left and we have Twillight. I didn't do a replay of Twillight because it's basically either you start with nature and then you just use Firestalkers to kill the building, or you start with fire and then just, I don't know, use curse for a bit of crowd control. It's basically the same. Stoneskin, same as Lost Souls, you use Phalanx to tank the tower damage and then use Master Archers to kill it. You can use Meta Mastery. It's a bit more of a budget. I think it's 150 BFP. Oh, it's 120. It just takes over the tower for 20 seconds and then the whole camp is gonna kill the tower for you. So you don't have to get your hands dirty. And then we have Frost Fires, same, or Fire Frost. This is not a faction right now, just a good color combination, and you have Firestalkers to do the job. And Amii, yeah, Amii is a bit tricky. I mean, there's no point doing Nature and Shadow on tier 1 and tier 2. What you wanna do is go nature and then shadow, or shadow and then nature. Because you don't get anything out of this. You can use skeleton warriors and unholy power to tank for the tower, but it's like, why don't you just use deep ones? I did a play. I think it was this one, just to see how it works out, and it was tedious and more of a pain in the ass than it helped. Because just gonna see it. I started with nature because I really like Windweavers. Really strong and versatile unit. CC, get rid of the building. Build them up. I forgot a fountain, so and I lost some towers. But just rebuild it. Kill the camp, get back.
A monument is under attack.
As you can see, I was really fast getting to tier 2. And then it struggled again because I wasn't sure how many units I will need to get through. And I kinda was AFK for a minute and then lost some units. And then I destroyed these two. I just use just spawning some skeleton warriors, activating them, and then just going against the towers. They're getting knockback, so you need to wait a bit. Otherwise, your Windweavers will get faster. Just the same. You have a unit that tanks the tower, and the rest is killing it. So nothing special here. It is always important to know what is the map layout, what factions are you fighting against, and what's the hard points you need to get through. So in this case, it was the 2 visit towers. Okay. I will do a replay of the fire again, because in the first replay I kinda had the minimap still on the screen, and I was talking a lot, but I didn't see much, so I'm gonna redo it in a fast way. So we start with a defense of makeshift towers for the knockback. Build 8 Sunstriders. You can build 9, but 8 are enough. Waiting to get some energy. Can kill the camp. Make sure set up a defense. Continue. I had to go back because I ran into a double spawn. Kill it. Heal up. And after you kill the wave, you just go continue. Setting up a defense with pyromaniacs, then you can get rid of your makeshift towers because you don't really need them. They're just binding energy. Build the energy wells, build your firestalkers, and get rid of the towers. Simple. And I will also show you Frost again because it was hidden. It was the 12-minute replay. Let's take a look. I mean, you saw it in Lost Souls, and this is an interesting bug. I like it. Oh, okay. Our powers are flashy. Nice. So, use Frost of Glyph to get some CC on the units, kill the building, set up your defense. 2 towers with the sigils are good enough. Kill this camp, defend using the northern keep buff. Set up the defense.
A monument is under attack.
Build your white rangers to kill the wizard towers. And then just push. Kill the building, get back, defend against the wave, otherwise you're just gonna lose units. Clear it up, set up defense, get your tier 3 up, and now you have 30 minutes left to clear the map. That's basically it for this month. Yeah, if you have questions, you can state them in the comments below. And if you like the video, give me your thumb up. And see you in the next guide, or at least in the next map of the month guide if you are pro.